you know the song Dust in the Wind?
No.
All we are is dust in the wind. It's like all we are is marine snow in the breeze, or is that what they say on the seafloor? Yeah, in the current.
Is there a size limit on marine snow?
I don't think so.
So hypothetically, if my body was floating to the bottom, I would be.
Well, that's a little dark.
Would be a,
that makes you a marine mammal.
I was going to say that would be a Professor Fall.
Yeah, Professor Fall.
Wow.
Talk about philosophy.
That is a... Please don't have that happen.
Okay, I'll rephrase that. So a whale fall, is that marine snow?
I guess there might be a size limit on marine snow.
Oh my gosh.
Not to get dark, but Ocean Networks Canada, that Ocean Observatory that we were talking about the other day, they have one of the experiments that they do inshore is a forensic experiment where they take a pig carcass, or 2 pig carcasses, like replicated, and they put a cage over one of them, and they attach a camera to the cages, and they put this thing on a platform.
Yeah.
And then they sink it in the Salish Sea, in the inland waters in between, off of Vancouver, and within a week the thing is a skeleton. It's pretty remarkable how quickly various sea creatures move in and take advantage, let's just say.
What I find amazing is how the timing on that differs from deep sea to shallower. So yeah, like right off Vancouver where you're relatively shallow, you'll get that very quickly. Whereas in 2019, we ended up revisiting a whale fall in the Catalina Basin that was one of the very first ones to be surveyed in the 80s. And basically it was down to just a few vertebrae in the jaws, but there were still worms breaking down the jaws 30 plus years later.
That's crazy. That looks like some overturned flow right here, almost columnar.
You said you wanted a columnar basalt sample, right? So I mean, this looks like a very viable sample.
Yeah. Attach a winch, send it on up.
Put it on the porch.
Yep.
That's a very cool structure.
It'll hold the ship down and help with the rolls.
It kind of looks like a Herc is meeting a big old hand.
Yeah.
You mind? I was pushing in on Atalanta cam there. Turn off some of these light
It
things.
does look like a big fist.
Huh, that's kind of cool.
With 6 fingers.
Very cool.
That's a cool shot. Nice lighting, Kylie. Try turning off this one too.
What kind of corals are we looking at?
These are largely primnoids with some chrysogorgids.
Cool. So do primnoids and chrysogorgias and bamboos all fit the exact same niche, or are there slight differences?
Oh, there's slight differences.
All right, pull light on the Atalanta cam, please.
I mean, they're all filter feeders, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
this guy.
Some more of those little cattails, I'm going to call them now.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, Chris.
Bridge nav, 30 meters, 300.
Is that one? No,
It's
that's
a
not.
corallium.
Perfectly placed brittle stuff.
Hemicorallium.
Hey, were you... I think it's 3:30. Yeah. Wait, what was that? Okay, gotcha.
Little wolteria sponge there on the left.
Looks like the...
I'll take a quick zoom.
Zooming it.
There's stuff all over this rock. I wonder if those are old holdfasts or just some kind of sediment.
Let's come wide.
Coming wide.
Are those also barnacles as well, or
Or maybe they're barnacles, I don't know.
the speckled patterns? Like the
And there's
yellowish
a
bits?
bamboo down there too.
Okay. Chris, you mind centering up on the ROV nav screen, please? Thank you.
I don't think we've seen a black hole this whole dive, right?
I have not seen any black corals yet.
Yeah, that's interesting.
We're at about 2,000 meters down. Is this not black coral country?
Chris, you mind calling in another one there?
Oh, this could
Yeah.
definitely be black coral country. We're just not seeing them.
Bridge nav, 30 meters, 300.
So, oh, that's a sea star over on the right.
We have a question. We have a question in the chat about corals and sponges. Where and how do they store energy?
Well, that's a good question. Sponges, I don't think they do store much because they only have 3 cell types. Corals could, although I don't think anyone's really looked at like how much lipid potential storage they have. So I think that's an unknown. At least I don't know.
That's a gorgeous hemicorallium.
Yeah.
You mind putting still cam up?
Sure.
Can I get a video zoom? I'll take more.
It's got polyps all the way to the base.
Oh, it's a nice star.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called.
Basket star?
That one's is it brittle star, isn't that? No.
But I
Yeah,
think
it's a brittle star.
I find it very difficult to tell the difference. Isn't it mostly in like the thickness of their...
The basket stars will have branching arms. On this one, the complexity is just it's got the arms all curled up.
Come on. Thank you.
Are basket stars types of brittle stars, or are they
I'm
their
not
own?
done with that. Thank
They're
you.
their own family.
Okay.
The gorgoncephalids.
Do you think, how do you tell the age of a brittle star?
I have no idea. I don't know if anyone's tried to come up with a specific way for aging brittle stars.
So maybe just like, even though they're small, sometimes like really itty bitty, it doesn't mean they're babies, right? Necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Right. That's pretty.
This looks like it's either got lots of polyps out or is covered in zoanthids.
Yeah, I want to see. Let's see. Can I get, oh, actually I lied. Don't do it.
Standing by.
Okay, I'll take some zoom.
Yeah, that's all zoanthids all over that.
Okay, come wide. Okay.
so. Do corals have any defense against zoanthids?
Oh, they can probably mount a chemosynthetic style defense. Not chemosynthetic, chemical defense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a cool looking coral right there. Branched bamboo. Yeah, I'm guessing those little yellow tracks are barnacles. Definitely not sediment.
What's the, yeah, Raj.
Looks like a big fat star in the distance.
Oh, let's go get them.
Bridge nav, 300, 30 meters, 300. It's getting late.
Is that 30? That last big bear peak? Or is it 35? The weather?
Is it 30? Sorry?
The wind? Was it 30 or was it?
It's 20.
Oh, okay. Get an idea of the scale.
Yeah, so it's 20. Right now, what we currently are seeing is 20 knots of wind. Ship heave around 1 meter or so.
Video zoom. Big boy.
Yep, just resting up and eyeing its next prey.
So it's got something dangling from one arm.
What kind of coral is that?
Is that bamboo?
That's a primnoid.
Oh yeah, it's downward facing polyps.
Yeah.
All right.
Slowly but surely.
Come wide,
I'll move from order to family.
please. Thank you.
Or his ability to identify.
I'll look at you a little bit. You're actually going to want to go the opposite way.
To port, yeah.
You can see all the
Yeah.
barnacle shells depositing with the sediment now.
Oh yeah, a little cave of shells in there.
Kyle,
Yeah.
you want to look a little right on your pen and tilt to get the Mongo out of the way. You can actually just back down the hill and then I'll follow you on the winch.
Can we look at this? Trying to see if this is the...
Yeah, it doesn't have the multiple patches.
No. Okay, that's good, thank you. I don't think that's quite what we're looking for, but close.
Might be a sea star on that coral right by the lasers, but it's a small one.
We're actually going to get the vehicles into position.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we'll kind of hold off on zooms when if we can.
Sounds good. There's a big sea star right there. They start to look like turkeys from a distance.
I see that too. Okay. I didn't want to say it though.
There's a big old pile of pill basalts. And an anemone on it. Really big pile of pill basalts. A pill fort, if you will.
I'm starting to see marshmallows.
300. Yep.
Yeah, the longer into the shift I get, the more I start seeing faces and structures and...
There's some nice fans.
yeah.
Bridge nav, 30 meters, 300 degrees.
Few different corals and a sponge.
There's a few different bamboos there. And I think one of those may be no, that's a bamboo.
I'm going to take the gauges for a minute.
There's another sea star eating away. So we have seen a lot of sea stars on this dive, so I'm guessing that explains the lack of, or the barren branches we keep seeing.
Yeah, we've seen more on this dive than on any other dive so far.
This would be a good triad spot if we want to try to sample that.
Do we have one actually? I guess the one down below.
Yeah, the one down below is being eaten. This one seems
Chris, you want to start
unaffected.
the ship?
Bridge nav, hold position.
Sure thing.
Yep.
Steve, if you're in the lounge and want to guide this, just let us know.
I believe it's the
Bridge nav, 20 meters.
collect the branch with the star on
Stand
it.
by.
And then collect
20 meters, 120.
a branch from the coral up above.
Yeah, and you want to make sure they're in separate
Correct.
containers.
Yes.
Roger. Sorry, so can you guys specify again as to what you'd like and how?
So we're going to try and do the sampling triad. So we need to collect the star and the branch that it's eating.
Okay.
And then there's the other separate coral colony that's just above this one, and we'll collect a branch from that as well.
Oh no.
Roger.
I don't want him to fall off.
Oh, we're going to take him anyway.
No, I meant like I don't want him to fall off before we take it. Okay, so
And if these are in a particularly bad spot, just let us know.
I can't sit on the bottom without it being kind of up in the...
Yeah, try rotating, changing your heading, going to the left a bit. And then we'll kind of kick up against the sidewall, up against the Niskins a bit.
Okay. And then just down?
Yep, yeah, down and forward. Down and forward and to the left. Go ahead and put on auto heading, that'll help you out here. Stand by.
He's doing now.
I had to say, Dan was pretty keen to get on the ship. Okay, that sounds good, thank you. All good, all good. Go ahead and full rack back. All right, you want to go ahead and do some pictures of this guy before we collect him?
Sure.
Zooming in.
And it's going to go in the forward bow, is that correct?
Yeah, that would be a good spot.
Okay.
We do have Steve on the chat to help direct.
Good morning, Steve. I'm giving you a tug. Hey, Chris. Rog, we might be pulled off position here. Let me
Back the ship up.
Yeah, so the ship boom is backing up.
We might have to back the ship up, Dan. Okay, they're not.
Go ahead and come full wide, please.
Full wide.
All right, let's do this. You want to look a little down?
Check, check.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear there, Dan. Welcome to the nav seat. What is this?
Your worst nightmare.
I know, right? Just for that. Kylie, want to look a little up, please? You want to look? Yeah, a little more. Yeah. Go ahead and push on in a bit, please. That's good. Thank you. I'm going to be on my kill switch, just jazz hands here.
I can hear you.
Go ahead and push on in a bit, please. That's great. Roger. Okay, so we want
to get the branch that the star is on with the star.
okay. Is it okay if I get a few more, or?
Yeah, because we need an unpredated branch from the same colony.
Great. So we can get them all in one go.
And then we'll need a branch from the colony above.
Close my fingers a little bit. Oops. Is that right? I don't like that. All right, go ahead and come full wide there, please.
Full wide.
And open up the toolbox there, Kylie. Great. Danke. You want to look a little up there. Thank you. Thank you. And are you full rack back there, Kylie?
Yeah.
All right, you look a little down. Thank you. Let's actually go this way. So we're going to go into lambda because I already got a little schmutz in there. Great.
Perfect.
Good. On the bend a bit. Okay, those are in there. Go ahead and close the bin up. All right, and then you want another branch from this one here?
The one above it.
I think we have an unpredated branch from that one because we got it in the same grab, so we need the from the colony above.
Okay. Go ahead and look on up there. Great. Tim, you want to go ahead and push on in there, please? That's great.
And if we can get at least 10 to 15 centimeters.
Sure thing. You want to look a little bit up. And a wee bit, so I can see the arm. Thank you. Somewhere around here, all right?
Yeah, that looks good. And then these need to go in another box on top of some of the rocks would be fine.
Oh, Raj, okay. Pull wide, please. Do you guys want a picture of it before?
Sure.
All right. Go ahead and push that in there, please.
Say, it's great, thanks.
Yep, pull wide, please. So starboard bio, roger that. And which bin would you like this one? Is there a
It can go
preference?
into any of them. They're all pretty small-sized rocks. E is empty.
Yeah, we won't put it in a big one. That's empty.
Yeah.
We can just put it in F if you guys like.
Sure, that would be great.
Okay.
And actually, since these are a little floaty, that way if we only halfway out the box, they won't float out.
Huh. Yeah, Raj. I can also put it in like C or D. Then that way we don't have to open the box all the way because those are all full.
That would be great.
Yeah. Kylie, you want to move your monitor down a wee bit? Don't go.
Yeah.
Get over there. All right. Okay. There. Okay, go ahead and
Did that go in box C?
that's
Yeah.
correct.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure.
Great job. Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, no, sure thing.
Nice one, Jess. That's second predatory event. Is that what happened there?
Yep, that's the second predatory collection.
Sweet.
Now we just need to find the Chrysogorgia.
Roger. What were you doing? That? 300. How far do you want to, what's that? .30 meters at 300. Bridge nav, 30 meters, 300.
I would say he's even sparkier when he was was earlier.
Forward, the tool tray. Mm. Yeah.
There's another sea star. Everywhere you look, fat sea stars.
I don't think there's been a bamboo coral that has not had predation on it this entire dive.
Yeah.
Yeah, 300. You guys. Yeah, we can get them in here. Did you guys want to zoom on this guy? Was that what's up?
Sure.
Go ahead and push on in.
Yeah, this bamboo is almost done. I don't think there's much tissue left at all.
Nope. He left nothing for the
Forward,
triad.
please.
Trainer.
So we have Amy Flesher, a former science communication fellow in the chat from Cape Cod. And just a shout out to the Nauset Regional Middle School. Thank you for tuning in.
I know Amy Fleischer. She was an SCF the first year I was an SCF.
Oh, nice.
What's up, Cape Cod?
So I'm guessing with Amy there and Val Finlayson joining the chat, people are waking up now on the East Coast.
You good for another move, Jess? You good for another move?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bridge, nav 30 meters at 300.
Kevin, what's our last update as we finish out the 12 to 4 watch?
I'll ask for what?
Oh, update on our progress towards our goals.
We're doing great. We got 5 basalts. We got 2 niskins. We got a primnoid and one of the triads. I would say we're crushing it, as always. We're making pretty good progress. We're halfway to waypoint 4.
I'd like to give a quick shout out to meclizine. These waves are pretty gnarly this watch.
Yeah, if we're quiet, I think it's because we're feeling it.
It's kind of fun right now while I'm like awake and working, but we'll see how I feel about them as I'm trying to fall asleep.
There's nothing quite like feeling like you're being gently rocked, but then right as you start to fall asleep, getting like a really good wave that just shakes you back awake.
Just slide you out of bed.
Oh yeah. I've only been tossed out of a top bunk once, and it was not on this ship.
That had to hurt.
It was a little exciting, a little spicy.
We call that the spicy alarm clock.
Why am I on the floor?
That'd be my first question too.
Now I'm seeing melted ice cream in the ferromanganese crusts.
Yep.
Ooh, I see it. Ice cream sounds so good right now.
Now we're getting some good coral.
Right on time.
Oh, we've got a, looks like either an acanthagorgia or a primnoid. That's our first one of the dive.
Anything in particular over here you want to see, or just kind of mosey up?
I just keep moseying. We're almost in a good spot to be worth pulling another Niskin bottle, which
Roger.
if we could do it on the float, that would be just fine.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Some pretty radical terrain there.
Yeah,
Whoa.
there was some pretty cool.
Or radical
Slopes.
bathing, sorry. It's been like this all night?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's been pretty cool. I'm at the end of my leash here, hey?
I put the bubble cam up on channel 3 so we can look right down the cliff wall at all the corals that were floating above. If you're looking at the quad view.
Yeah, it's like cool terrain.
Really nice hemicorallium there. Some more bamboos.
Good See where the crust broke off. Right in front of us. It goes from really smooth to really kind of rocky.
I have a question from Bethany School. How much plastic or waste do you find deep in the ocean? And it's a good question. A lot of it depends on where you are. If Johnson Atoll, luckily, isn't in a region where there's any real traffic coming through it. There's no shipping containers that go through this area, so it's actually quite low. But typically any area where you have a lot of ships moving through, you'll find plenty of debris from humans on the seafloor.
We found a flip-flop.
In a lot of the sediments too, these days you can find the microplastic beads, but those wouldn't be visible to our cameras. You need special equipment to pull those out.
Yeah.
Hey, George, do you have insufficient thrust? Who's up there? What's that?
Hey, this is Onye here, just giving a shout out to our former SCF Amy. I don't know if you remember me, but saying hi, and I see your chats coming through.
What kind of questions are they sending in?
Oh, Amy, she's just, yeah, she just wanted us to say hi to her students at, am I pronouncing
Bridge
this
nav
right?
20 meters at 300.
Nauset? Okay. Nauset Regional Middle School. Hi, students. Hello.
You got it, Nauset. Yep.
And let's see. Says hi, Tim.
Hello, Amy. The school year's over, though, in Massachusetts, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be.
That's a great teacher who gets her students watching Nautilus Live on the summer vacation. I don't know where my students are, but I have not heard hide nor hair of them on the chat. So I think they're probably all working right now. Well, maybe not right now, but what is it, about 7 a.m. on the West Coast? Yeah.
Back in my day, all the children got up at 7 a.m. to go to work.
Everybody had a paper route. It was just,
Everybody. It was chaos.
just bikes and flying papers everywhere. Yeah, this geo is so cool.
Yeah. It's a lot of really expansive, long sheet and pillow flows, and then steep cliffs on either side.
I like how every time we just peek over the other edge, that's where all the coral is, just hanging out.
You can just see a little sponge and a coral waving at you every time. Ooh, that's a pretty coral.
It's a little hemicorallium, and we've got some primnoid, probably Narella there.
Now we moved into some rocky debris flow. There's a little acanthagorgia. And as we hand off to the next shift, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please stick around for the next group. I know they're not sea pickles, but you know, they're doing their best.
No one can be sea pickle
What?
but us.
Yeah, Dan, we have like a cool name. Sea pickles. Good night, guys.
Oh, that's a neat formation there. It looks like icing on top of a kind of a crumbly cake there.
Good morning, good evening, and good night, depending where you are in the world. It is now Team Delta Dan and the Benthic Storms coming at you. If you have any questions about our dive, please feel free to ask them in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them.
All right. Is everyone settled in?
Yeah. Atlanta's good to go.
Yep.
All right. So I think, what was the movement pace like for the last watch? What were they doing across bottom? Northwest at 0.2 or 0.3? Oh, before we leave this area, can we take a Niskin too? I don't think there have any been taken yet. Couple.
There's 2 that have been taken, one
Okay.
went 6 and one went 9. But I think it was a while ago.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna take a Niskin here before we leave the area. What sample number are we on?
We're on 126.
Great. It's a neat little ridge.
So Steve, for the viewers at home that are just tuning in, can you tell us a little bit of what the dive plan is today?
Yeah, so we're about 50 miles southeast of where we were yesterday at our deep ridge site, diving on a guyot, a flat top seamount. This site was selected because of it has never been dove on before, and we need some geological samples from this site, as well as we're aiming to compare this site, this guyot, versus some of the others we dove further east. And just superficially, it's been pretty notably different. More high density corals, deeper also. As well as some interesting geology at this site. But for the most part, we're going to follow up a ridge. We're still on the ridge. We've got another little terrace to go and then another slope before we're up near the carbonate cap. But while we're on the ridge, we're going to try and spend as much time looking at some of these high density communities as much as possible.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're going to take a eDNA Niskin bottle here before we go. And then we'll be on our way up the terrace of the ridge.
Oh, look at that. Nah. Our first question of the day. I wonder how your team copes with motion sickness. Is it just something you get used to, or are there still green days? I'm bad on chips, and I've been known to be ill before we have united from harbor. Even watching your stream on camera too makes me feel a little bit sickly. Well, Amanda from Scotland, yes, motion sickness is a huge part of being on here in the EV Nautilus. We all have our different ways of dealing with it, but I think at a certain point, I think we all kind of get swept up by it.
Or you could just be like me and be lucky and never experience it for some reason.
Yeah, except Brandon, because
maybe just genetics or something.
Brandon's just better than all of us, apparently.
Well, you know what they say, there are two kinds of people. Those who get seasick and those who haven't found it yet.
Right, yeah. I'm waiting for the inevitable moment.
So well
I
timed
haven't exactly been
this
in
morning too.
high seas or anything, so.
Everyone has their own rock. Like everyone has their own frequency that, you know.
That gets them?
I've heard that 1,000 times. I don't get seasick. Yeah, I've heard that one.
Okay, hot chat.
No, once in a while, I get very sleepy. I don't get very nauseous, but I get sleepy during seas.
Really?
I was sleepy yesterday, so maybe it did get to me.
Maybe that was your seasickness.
Wow.
That usually predates, predates the actual event. But anyway, let's change the topic.
Speaking of changing the topic,
We need all of our people here.
have you found any new species of life this year? If so, how do you check whether it's entirely new?
Well, I have some information about that.
Ooh.
We actually sampled what we thought was an anemone last year, a little ways north of here, and it was actually in international waters, but it was just outside the boundaries of Papahānaumokuākea monument, and turns out that it actually might be a solitary zoanthid, and we're working with some taxonomists to see if that can be examined or described. I only say that's relevant to this cruise because we saw it again at the beginning 2 dives. So it was noteworthy to see it again because it had not been seen prior to this. So interesting still. So that may be coming down the pipeline soon. But as with a lot of, many of these species, these are not commonly found animals. The only place where you have more deep water corals or deep water species generally than in the ocean is in a museum where scientists and taxonomists can examine them because not everyone has a boat that they can come out and collect corals on weekends. It's not like going scuba diving or something like that where you have access to your environment. It's a very concerted effort.
So going off of that, Steve, do you know how many expeditions we go on a year?
Well, we have, and we are doing 3 ROV cruises this year. The first one was in the Kingman Reef and Palmyra Atoll unit of the Pacific Remote Islands. I was co-leading that one as well. And then we did a cruise up in the northern portions of Papahānaumokuākea, including some, I think only due to weather, they were pushed out into international waters a little bit up there, north of the monument. And then the third ROV cruise of the year was this one to Johnston Atoll. But there are other cruises that take place, like mapping and tech demos and things like that. Those are still coming down the pipe.
So someone in chat was going off of that. So this is the last ROV dive of the expedition on this season. If so, when does the next season start?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to put that question on hold until maybe Megan comes up during our watch later on the day.
So if you would like to get that question answered of when the next season starts, you can tune back in at 4 p.m. when Megan, the counterpart of SCF, comes up, and I'm sure she has more information than the rest of us.
She's the boss. I think we might grab this rock, actually. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, almost all the rock
You want this to be your last dive? You're not going to come up from that.
Literally, I think almost all our boxes are full.
I mean, are you going to throw me off the ship if we don't come up? Is that what you're trying to say?
Not me.
Somebody?
It'd be really unfortunate if you just happened to slip overboard.
So I don't know if they made a note, but in C we have a bit of a floaty bit, very thin branches as well. And here with the sea star, we don't want to put any more rocks in here or in here in case they would crush our little critters there. But we have two more open boxes for rocks, and then we can double up in some of the smaller bins too.
Steve, you good to take a Niskin here?
Yeah, let's take a Niskin here. So far we have Niskins 1 and 2 have been popped, so 3 is the next in sequence.
Copy that. Advise for 3 if we can.
Yep, looking at it. Pop. So that's a good sample. And what was our altitude here?
That centered-ish, is that how this works?
Herc altitude was reading 8 meters when that was
8
popped.
meters, yeah. Okay, 8 meters.
Raj.
Can write in the description, near high density community with Hemicorallium or precious corals, Chrysogorgia. What else was in this area? There was
Gauges
some
look good.
Polyapagon sponges too.
I also saw some Narella looking species.
Yeah, Narella, Narella or Calyptra or other primnoids, yeah.
Craft comp is right back down to 3
Probably
after we
both.
filled it out there.
We're here.
All right, here's a question from chat. What is the most memorable thing that you've experienced on a voyage? I mean, I know for me, I probably think the Mario Kart tournaments and the Super Smash Bros. Tournaments that we have in the lounge area whenever we're in transit. I
Raj,
think
it was giving me like 2-3 meters, even though I could barely see the floor, so I was...
It's bold of you to call it a tournament when there's only one person winning.
cautious of it.
So, it's the impromptu sessions and just the smack talk and the laughing coming out of it. I think it's some of my favorite type of time when we're in transit, just not doing a whole lot. We're all up there, just having a good time.
Yeah, what was that one German card game? And then Cribs.
Yes, 21 and Cribs. There's a lot of card games. And there's a lot of.
I'm a big fan of the card games.
Yes.
Don't forget about Monopoly Deal.
And
Yeah,
Monopoly.
that's a card
yes.
game. That's a card game.
Monopoly.
What about you, Steve? You've been on more voyages than us. What's the most memorable thing do you think that happened?
The sperm whale encounter in the Gulf of Mexico was pretty memorable. I know that's a common highlight, but that was in 2015, and I had just gotten off watch, and I was looking at sperm whales on the surface. They were fairly close to the boat. You could see the spouts, but then within 15 minutes or 20 minutes after watch, I don't know if it was Megan or someone else. Megan was there too, I think. Came out onto the deck and said there was a sperm whale on Hercules camera, and everyone was just flipping out in the control van. It was chaos, but good chaos.
Nice.
Over the wall, you got a bright white sponge or something.
Was that a sea cucumber maybe?
Yeah, it's a cucumber there.
Nice.
Yep. So, Nav, I didn't hear you a bit earlier when we were discussing movement speed. What are we doing across bottom, and what kind of steps are we making?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's really pretty hill of basalts here.
25, yeah. There's 125.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Should I? Yeah.
So, Steve, is this a glass sponge?
That is correct.
I'm so smart.
Yeah, it's a glass sponge. It's a sponge in the family Ferronematidae, Polyapagon species.
Looks like there's a decent amount of life on that
We
far
saw
side
these
of the
in high
ridge.
density at 2 sites ago.
A Polyapagon species?
Yeah,
Faeridae?
yeah.
These specific species of Polyapagon, or?
I think it was the same, yeah.
Oh, wow.
We call it, well, I call them the satellite dish morph. If you look at the other side, they look like a big. Kind of thing people used to have on their houses. Not anymore. I guess some people still have satellite dishes. TV and stuff.
Cable is a dying breed.
Yep.
Netflix is in now. Is that Hemicorallium in the background? Or some
Yeah, down there, we've been seeing some high density Hemicorallium all over the place the last little bit.
So Steve, speaking of all of these animals, someone in chat wants to know. Will Stolhen says, his question is, how do these animals adapt to survive in such high pressure conditions?
Most of them, except the fishes, really have no air spaces in their bodies, so they are essentially at ambient pressure with the water, and that makes it not so difficult to manage pressure in this case.
Does that also go for fishes as well, or fish, shrimp, and everything else
Well,
down here?
fishes do have gas bladders, right? It's a buoyancy compensating organ. So they would be subject to large changes in depth or pressure. But they can compensate for that, and for some degree, very small changes. But as you know, for example, as you go from 2,000 meters to the surface, you're going to experience probably more rapid decompression than they can compensate for. So, for example, collecting something like that and bringing to the surface would result in barotrauma.
So not the smartest idea to try to collect them and bring them up?
If you could even, yeah, they're very fast. Yeah. So if front row folks, I don't think anyone in the front row is on SPL. Makes it difficult.
I'm on SPL, Steve. I'm listening.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
We're
I
just,
haven't heard from anyone in the front row in a little while.
yeah, we're getting our ducks ready for a move at
Okay.
300-ish northwest is what we were doing on the last watch.
All right.
You want to keep going that way, do you? You want to keep moving northwest, right, Steve?
Yeah, towards waypoint 4. Yeah, kind of that. I don't know what they were moving before, point 2 or point 3, something like that.
We were moving point 3.
Yeah, that's probably fine. It's steeper here than we imagine.
Yeah,
So
I might slow it down to point 2.
Yeah,
Just
that's
'cause we're on
doable.
the cliff right here, so if you want to look at stuff, we want to probably be at point 2.
I'll call it out, but I think yeah, we can just cruise along.
Cruise along sounds good. Okay, we can try. Yeah, let's do a point 2. 20 meters at point 2. Yeah.
Here's another question. Frank from Liverpool asks, how do embryonic?
It's embryo, so embryonic.
Embryonic fishes gain oxygen or air at such depths?
Well, the water is fairly well oxygenated down here. You know, we're well below the oxygen minimum zone, so oxygen is not really limiting by most organisms here. Fishes especially have a variety of adaptations, especially for this environment where they have they've adapted or evolved very energy efficient body plans, like eel-like shapes, which allow them to be very streamlined and for example, station keep very easily without spending a lot of energy, and needing large musculature. So it's yeah, very energetically efficient. They don't need huge amounts of oxygen, but again, it's probably the oxygen concentration here is about half from what you'd see in the surface ocean. But really, still not limiting for these animals.
So what is the oxygen concentration at the moment?
Is that on the
It is on
public?
the website.
Yeah, it's on the public website.
If you'd like to go to our Nautilus Live, our nautiluslive.org, you can scroll down past our ROV depth, and there's a more info tab, and you can click on that, and you can see exactly what our oxygen saturation and our depth, our pitch and roll, and a bunch of other information if you'd like to go check that out.
Yeah.
Here's another question for our ROV guys. How is the ROV made to withstand such deep sea pressure?
That's a good question. Primarily, the biggest technique that's used for subsea is hydraulic compensation, pressure compensation, which basically means that you fill all the cavities that would otherwise have air and atmospheric pressure with something that's incompressible, so a fluid, a liquid like oil. So in Hercules' case, all the thrusters and all the junction boxes and other components are compensated with mineral oil. So as it goes down, it gets squeezed by the pressure of the ocean. The oil inside that vehicle also gets squeezed, and the vehicle is much like the what Steve was saying about the other sea creatures down here. They're at equilibrium with the ambient pressure, so they don't actually doesn't feel the force. There are a few parts of Hercules that have to be made to withstand the pressure because we don't compensate them. For example, the electronics bottle, that's built in a titanium housing to withstand pressures down to 4,000 meters. But most of the equipment's hydraulically compensated, so it actually feels very little pressure at all.
If those are like very large lobes right there. Looks kind of like a big rockworm.
So Brandon, we're seeing around here all this kind of like almost cemented rock. What is that?
It is mostly basalt, we think. But it's all covered in ferromanganese crust for the most part. Yeah, volcanic rock, mafic, came from the mantle some 100 million years ago, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
And it forms all these seamounts that we've been going to for the most part. Maybe later we'll see limestone covered in in crust, which won't look all that different, but the morphology will be a bit different. And hopefully I'll be able to point it out if we get there. And we probably won't get there when I'm here, but yeah.
We can try. Yeah, maybe you might see signs of that around waypoint 6 or so.
And how long, so the viewers at home can tune in at that point, how long do you think it's going to take to get to waypoint 6?
We might be getting there. Well, might be getting almost there by the end of our watch. We'll see.
There you go. So stay tuned, viewers, and then you can witness some limestone, hopefully. Exciting.
Hey, a lot of you could probably go outside and witness it as well.
But not like this, you can't.
Yeah, that's true. It won't have ferromanganese crust on it. It'll actually look like limestone.
And you won't have the Brandon Scott narrating it.
Yes. Limestone is very pervasive, actually.
Really?
Yes.
How so?
Back in the day as in several millions of years ago, there was a lot of shallow seas, and that's where limestone likes to form. Actually doesn't like to form as much on deep seas. Some carbonate can form, but it takes, it's not as thick, I suppose. But yep, shallow seas where you have reefs, either coral or back in the day crinoid reefs. Those organisms, they eventually lithify into limestone, then build on top of each other and lithify again. The cycle continues. We don't see it as much in modern Earth for whatever reason, but
I'm not going to say where, but on my upcoming vacation, there's a limestone deposit with amber.
Ooh.
One of the things I've loved doing over the past few years whenever I go there is trying to see if I can find fossils or amber bits. It's old shoreline. It's been uplifted and exposed bits of amber. A cool little site.
A lot of primnoids over there.
I think that's usually where you have like forests that grow on like the edges of the shores of like shallow seas.
Is where amber,
yeah, where you get
limestone.
like amber deposits in limestone.
Right.
That coral looks like it's full of brittle stars.
It's full of stars.
Hanging out with his buddies. Their buddies.
So what kind of coral is that?
The white colony in the middle there? Is
Yeah,
yeah.
with all those brittle stars.
So that's almost certainly a species of primnoid. If we can zoom on that, we can get a better handle on the ID. So I'll circle it. I've been noticing a lot of these dead bases that have probably fallen off as well. That tells you something about the persistence of the community in this area. You know, the bases could be decades or more old. Many of them are probably larger animals that maybe died off, fell off, decades, centuries ago, and the base persists, or sometimes the shadow of the bases.
So is that way if we see a rock with
If
a
you
whole
want to
bunch
partial
of
zoom on
bases?
that whenever you want.
Sure thing.
Does that mean there was a huge die-off there?
Well, it could just be natural processes. I wouldn't say it's a die-off. Yeah, so this looks like Narella.
Is there a
The
squat
branching
lobster?
morphology is typical of Narella, but yeah, it's one of those things where we need a close-up of the polyps. But we've been seeing this now for the past hour or so, so I'm willing to wager they've gotten a better zoom of it on the past watch. So
That's squat lobsters. Looks like he's levitating.
Right on the
on a little coral, yeah.
Chrysogorgia.
That's the sweet spot right there in the current. You know, some midwater fish comes along, it snaps a fish or a small animal out of the water. It's got food for a year.
Where does it store it? Or any idea?
I think I don't know what the
Right.
I mean,
where's its refrigerator?
oftentimes their metabolism is likely slow enough that they may only need to eat once in a while. I mean, food is not coming along, very frequently here, and it's 1 point something degrees C. So, for example, like the giant isopods that live at a few hundred meters, 5, 6, 7, 800 meters, 1,000 meters. Giant isopods may only need to take 1 or 2 meals in a year, and that's it. Like, they can survive on that.
Video, try a full zoom whenever you're ready.
All right, full zoom.
Thank you.
Yep, so this looks like Narella. Polyps are bending downwards, or down axis.
Ooh, fend.
Great shot. Thanks.
I'm going to try to pan to the left off this, and then you can come wide.
Have you ever witnessed a squat lobster try to snap at something? I assume it'd be pretty rare.
I have actually, do you think we can grab a sample of this, a piece of this branch? There's something from Johnson Atoll at this depth that says Narella species without an ID, and I was wondering if we could grab a piece for ID confirmation.
Ooh.
Copy that. You want it now?
We could do like a snip and slurp, or we can put it in the forward box.
Oh, you.
The last watch sampled one of these unbranched primnoids, which is probably in the genus Candidella. But Narella is very difficult to get to species. There's something like 40 different species, maybe more now, in the genus Narella, and I would say probably at least half of them occur in the Central Pacific. So it's very challenging to get a good handle on the identifications of many of these without collections.
Do you know if it's a particularly long-standing genus?
How do you mean? Like it's been in the evolutionary time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with the primnoids, there's some
off, craft power.
It's not known basically. There's some hypotheses that
Bender and DC ground fault sense both off.
That primnoids rapidly diversified.
Craft power on, craft valve remains off.
After well, let's back up. primnoids are most diverse as a family in the Southern Ocean, in and around Patagonia and the Antarctic. It is hypothesized that because that is their highest like center of diversity, that maybe they originated in Antarctica when it was probably, much more, not polar.
Right.
And actually the onset of the opening of the Drake Passage, like 30 million years ago, something like that, might have resulted in oceanographic conditions that allowed them to diversify and spread through the, through the ocean at depth. So, I mean, I don't know as a genus, how old it is, but they've rapidly diversified over the past, 30 to 50 million years or so, from what we can understand from molecular clocks and or what we can hypothesize from their oceanography and their distribution as well. But that's all very, very not strongly supported. It's just super hypothetical, conjecture at the moment. But there's some indication, some evidence that that may be where the research is going. It's a very interesting family.
And speaking
Exclusively
of this,
deep sea.
Oh.
Yeah.
Speaking of this type of family, and perhaps this new type of species, people in chat want to know, or at least this Amy would like to know. I would love to know what rare species you have seen.
That's a tough question to answer. We've been out here now in the Central Pacific since about 2017, really in earnest, maybe 2015. And we're still trying to get a handle on like what's rare, what's common. So really we don't know. If we see some things, one or two times, it might be that it's rare or that it's just, rare at that site. For example, we moved sites and we're noticing different assemblages. So, maybe one site's rare species are actually, fairly common at another seamount because the conditions are more favorable, for example. So yeah, there's not one answer for that. I mean, there are some rare things, but yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say like this is rare everywhere. It might be rare for this one site.
So then what's the most common, like the universal sort of common thing that we see?
Also a very difficult, that's like that's the opposite question at the other end of the spectrum. I mean, we see a lot of corals and sponges, broadly, but I mean, species-wise, numerically, the Hemicorallium seem to be the most abundant at this site. Maybe only rivaled by the Chrysogorgia. Yeah, nice. Definitely Narella, from the look of it. High density polyps too.
Roger. Craft valve is on.
Well,
right.
Glenn, to answer your question, the largest animal I've seen in the ocean specifically is probably a chaunacops, which is kind of a frowning fish that we saw at the bottom of the ocean.
I think the coral is bigger than chaunacops.
That's also true, but I mean, in terms of largest ocean animal, I believe the more traditional sense as like a fish or something like that.
I mean, you're throwing shade at corals.
Well, then in that case, yes, it's probably one of the giant corals that we've seen so far.
Everyone loves chaunacops.
Everyone loves
Yeah,
chaunacops,
I mean, how could you
man.
not?
It's really only come out as a big thing over the past couple of years. I don't know.
The chaunacops?
Yeah.
Ooh.
But
I mean, we've seen chaunacops going back 4 or 5 years, but it's I see it all over the internet now. It's
So
got a
cute.
following.
we liked it before it was cool. I think also the biggest thing that anyone in this cabin has seen is probably Steve with the sperm whale, right?
That was a pretty big one, yeah. But we've seen some bigger things too, or big, similarly sized. Last year, I was on a cruise on a different ship, and we saw a whale shark.
Ooh.
At depth.
Those things are cool.
Yeah. Big one too.
They're filter feeders? Is that would that be correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
They have like a big filter in their mouth.
Planktonivores.
Very cool animal.
Planktivorous, yeah.
Well, there you go. That question in chat, largest mobile animal?
Yeah,
whale
sounded
shark.
better.
And or sperm whale, depending.
Saw a big crinoid, that's pretty mobile. Just kidding.
I don't know, man. That shrimp yesterday.
Actually,
oh, that shrimp was so cute.
the cutthroat eel is probably the largest thing we've seen, at least on this.
Oh yeah, that's right. With all the parasites on it?
Yeah, it was probably like a meter long, maybe. At least on this shift in this expedition.
So, any particular branch you want here, Steve?
Do you think you can get this one with the star on it?
Sure.
We only need one branch. We don't need a lot.
One branch.
But if you get more, that's okay too. So. Any star really doesn't have to be that one.
So delicate, Dan.
So you'll see when the colony is disturbed, all the polyps will
Where do you want
close
it?
down axis. We can go into the forward box on lambda.
Lambda. Roger
Lambda.
that.
Yep. 2 branches tied together nicely with a brittle star bow. Yep.
Christmas came early.
Then to answer that question in the chat, how do you spell chaunacops? Chaunacop is spelled
Good capture. We
C-H-A-U.
can stow it.
Delta's at 2-3.
Okay.
N-A-C-O-P-S. Chaunacops.
Delta's at 2-3, and I got a ridge.
I think you can just like look up anglerfish or football fish.
Yeah,
Similar.
the common name is coffin fish.
Coffin.
fish.
There are other species of coffin
That
fish
is
though.
127.
So if you type in coffin fish, you might not find chaunacops. You might find something else in the Chaunicidae family.
Yeah. Just 125 and 126 are missing from the map, from what I see.
Yeah, that's the problem with common names.
Yes, yes.
Just 125 and 126 are missing from the map, is from what I see.
Ready?
Correct. That would be correct.
You do know your predatory corals in here, right?
Yeah,
Right.
that's okay.
Thank you.
Might be getting a tether tug soon.
What's that?
Might be getting a tug on the tether soon. We're up to 2.5 at Delta. Just trying to get above this ridge.
You're struggling over there?
Yep.
You can always have one out, move the boat back. What am I doing here? That's the one I want. So now I've closed the jaw again. I'm commanding it closed, but it's not doing anything. So I'm going to unlock it and then just open a little and close. Okay,
Nice.
you can close
Great,
the box.
thanks.
Closing box. Nice
Now,
grab.
Dan, here's a question for you, Delta Dan. Does operating the claw translate well into video games? Or are you good at video games?
No, I'm horrible at video games.
What about the claw machine?
Yeah, I never win anything at that.
I don't think anybody does, so I don't blame you.
I think that's the whole point.
I think that one's rigged.
Yeah.
Then I disable the thing. It won't fall down to where. Basically, once you're done operating the craft, if you just lift that shoulder all the way up and then disable it, the rest of it falls down into where it needs to be. And then back the opposite way again. Bender on. Or first things first. Hydraulics. Where are you?
Then, Steve, here's a question.
Hydraulics.
Predatory corals, can you explain more on that?
It's not a predatory coral, it's a predation event
usually
on a
we don't
coral.
have to do all this.
So is the sea star eating a coral.
Issues.
Corals themselves aren't necessarily predatory. They're more opportunists.
Those guys are come on. Hello.
That sounds like a cover-up for a criminal organization. No, we don't rob. We're opportunists.
The DC pulse.
Cup coral.
I got to run away here. We're getting tugged. The DC pulse coming through the craft will cause it to do the chicken peck thing. It took me an embarrassing, too long. Like, why is this doing this? It was Robert, of course, that had to tell me what was going on there. Yeah, I need to get back out in front of, can't hear me? How about now? Dan will have to do something about that because I can hear myself just
Yeah,
now.
can we take a look at this yellow thing there, if you have a second?
You can
Both you and Delta Dan are pretty quiet.
zoom in there. So I'm actually moving forward now, doing the same thing, just
Is that
gently
a zoanthid?
going forward. Into
I believe it is,
the vehicle
or
touches somewhere.
a colonial anemone of some type.
You can see the
Sometimes you find
shadows.
anemones grow in high density, but it
Touching
looks
somewhere now, so
zoanthid-like.
you can full zoom
Yeah.
there. That's good.
Is that a squat lobster on it?
Zoom out
Yeah,
just a bit.
Its arms
Squaring
look
up.
awesome, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All set. Thanks.
So Steve got his ID there, so we're happy to
Not a very
Basically
characteristic
let go of it. I might
color
pull back just a little
and
bit if I do too much.
morphology for this depth. This site is definitely very different from what we found in the southeast,
So I need
at
to
least
be up here
superficially.
before Lynette moves the boat. So I have no idea where we are at the moment.
Higher densities for certain.
Well, we're going to come up for a while before we move the boat, just to get Atalanta over the top of the ridge here. So I'll turn my Z-bias down.
To answer that person in chat, we are actually Team Delta Dan and the Benthic Storms. As well as the other team is Team Sea Pickle, and I'm not sure of what the next team is.
You're muted.
Whenever I want to change
I
my
am?
heading, I turn
No,
that
you're
off.
muted.
Oh.
Without
The next
being
team
on it,
is
string
you're
the little
muted.
yellow thing. And depending on how we have it set on the XY page, it can be really slow or
Said I am?
crazy fast.
You scared me there, Brandon.
That's interesting, I can see a star.
I'm going to come up for a while since the wall is right in basically the way we want to go.
Is it picking up?
Well, it seems to have subsided a little bit, but yeah, the weather's been building since about 9 o'clock last night.
We are getting a little tossed around up here.
Just keeping an eye on it.
Usually have the camera tilted down.
As long as the ship can make way and
then
Thank
just
you.
lift it up.
we're not
So the
putting undue stress on the
stuff on the
cables,
bottom
then
is not
we keep diving.
in the picture.
Keep on keeping on. Here's a question from chat. How are we getting signal for the stream if we're in the middle of the ocean?
Now it's kind of weird. I have to.
Very long wires.
Very
No.
long wires.
go that
We
way
actually,
nav
on the
screen,
boat,
but I
we
wanna go
have
forward
a
or
satellite
follow the
dish
wall.
or a satellite
So
thing that we're able to receive Wi-Fi and some basic internet that we're able to stream to you. And we're very, very lucky that the EV
It
Nautilus has a large
is.
enough bandwidth to keep a 24/7 stream going for all you lovely viewers at home to view kind of our dives and our recoveries and just having a look of what's around.
No. I tend to, sometimes I'm all over that, sometimes I ignore it, but in this case, I didn't notice it. I'm looking.
So Brandon, what kind of flow is this
I
that
want
kind
both of
of
these
keeps
at
everything sort of
315.
almost look like it's all stuck together?
320,
That's what
'cause
I'm
that's the way
thinking.
we're gonna go.
I'm not sure yet, but my first guess would be
And
lobe
they should,
flow.
now that we've rehomed the DVO, all that,
What makes you say that?
everything should line up.
I can see some
It's really boring to,
bumps
really
or
tragic to
little
leave the cool
lobes.
cliff, but we must move to the next waypoint.
Not little. bigger lobes that seem to connect everything.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
could be a
now we're
combination
ready.
of sheet and lobate, or a combination of all three, I suppose.
Back in the box.
See, now it kind of looks like pillow right here, so.
So it looks to be an almost entirely different shade than the rocks that we're used to. Why do you think that is? Is there just less crust? Is it?
Yeah,
Another Narella.
suppose less crust.
What is that above it? Is that an anemone?
Yep.
That red anemone-like thing? Is that an anemone?
Yeah, anemone.
Nice.
Yep.
Here's another question. Have we seen any swiftia? I remember seeing a whole lot of it in Palmyra, but I don't think we've seen any on this expedition.
No, we have not seen swiftia yet. We may be a little deep. I mean, I think, yeah,